Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. Just if you guys didn't see the last video and you guys are tuning in for this video, just to so you guys understand, um, I'm currently on a calorie defect. I'm just looking to lose some belly fat. Uh, as of this recording, this is day one. Yesterday I was basically preparing for the defect. And today is my first day. So far, not too bad. I haven't hit lunch yet, so I don't know how that's going to be. But so far, not too bad. Um, so I'm just trying to keep myself occupied, not trying to think too much about, you know. So, um, as a follow up from the last video, I promised that I would tell the story of uh, of what happened on a film of mine, and just to give some relation to the last video that I did. So, um, and also just an excuse just to talk about stuff, stuff from a long time ago. Um, so, um, let me say it again, just in case anyone didn't see the last video. Please do not do this acting style. Please do not, because it is very dangerous. And I will explain in a sec why, but please don't. Really, really don't. So, okay, so where did this start? Um, I think this started in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2019. Um, I was just getting into college, and getting adjusted to college life. Back then, I was on campus. That was before the pandemic hit, um, and I was very anxious to do another project. Um, I just gotten off of doing a collection of films. One of them is actually right here. You can't see it, but um, I had just come off of doing like a collection of films that were that incorporated my grandmother into them. So those were kind of uh, personal things to work on. So I had to dedicate a lot of time to those, and I just had gotten off of those, and I wanted to do something radically different, something that would still challenge me, but be something completely different. So then I came up with the idea. I think the script was literally like 5 to 10 pages. It wasn't anything that crazy, and um, then came the birthing of this idea, which was called One, which was basically about. Um, at first, it was all literal, so it was about a guy who um, basically was going insane, um, and um, the it was a pretty straightforward type thing. It was basically a character study in many respects, um, and a lot of it was also birthed from my own personal struggles with like certain things, um, and I didn't realize at the time some of the severities of what I was talking about, but looking back on it, there's definitely there was definitely issues there, that I hadn't dealt with, and since then have dealt with. Um, but Um, I really wanted to challenge myself acting wise, because I did fancy acting for a hot minute. When I was in high school, I did theater, and in college, I also did some theater. Um, it was just a place to express myself, just to let myself kind of let out some emotions. Like I said in the last video, I stepped away from it because ultimately it is a manipulative way to deal with your emotions. Like it's best to just deal with them in a rational and mentally sound uh, manner. Um, so when creating this little story that I was working on, I decided to kind of engulf myself into this particular character. So I decided to do some pretty extreme things. One of them uh, was dieting, but I didn't consult a nutritionist like I'm doing now with my calorie defect. I literally just eliminated half of my eating habits. So anything that I desired, I ate half of it, or I did it whatever, you know. So it was, I just cut off like half of it. And I did that for about a month or two, and surprisingly, I was able to lose at least like 15 pounds. Now, with doing actual calorie intake and doing, all this sort of stuff, looking back on it, I'm kind of surprised by the fact that I was able to lose all that weight. I was also dealing with stuff at my in my parents' home and stuff like that, but you know, so there's like stress involved and stuff like that. So, um, and also I was at a period where um, I was beginning to gain weight, but I just cut that off, right when I was making that film. So, so all that weight that was gaining completely gone when I started doing this kind of sort of fasting. Like I'm not sure what it really was, but I guess you can consider it fasting because I really didn't eat. Like I wouldn't finish my lunch or dinner. I would rarely eat like certain things, and I was just dropping weight, like pretty severely. And I wasn't doing anything, no supplements, nothing like that. I was just doing it raw. Um, so that was that point where I was losing weight. And while I was losing weight, I went to talk to my theater teacher, just for some consulting, um, about just what I was about to do and seeing how I'd feel about it. And what was crazy was that I went up to him and talked to him about it, and he had another class coming in, and he stopped his class. He like because they were about to start their lecture, and he stopped the class, and he actually took me outside and told me all these like really horrible stories about people who went through the method acting process or something in that vein, and so many people hadn't recovered or they're just like traumatized or all that sort of stuff. He basically was trying to scare me out of it, you know. Um, and what was funny was that it actually did the opposite for me, which was I actually became a lot more excited by just doing all this stuff, because I have kind of sort of masochist side of me. Depending on the circumstance, I can get very uh, into such a thing. So, um, but I was just like, when he said all that shit, I was just like, that just sounds more fun. You know what I mean? Um, so in hindsight, I should have listened, but you know, uh, live and learn, I guess. But um, so and then this is where the shit got a bit weird. So losing the weight was one thing. So then I also was growing out my beard, which back then looked ridiculous because I never actually had properly shaved it before. Now I actually do shave it and actually clean it up so it actually looks like a legitimate beard. Um, Before, the best way I can describe it, my mom put it best, is that it looked like the freaking Taliban, So, hopefully YouTube doesn't have an issue with me saying that. So, um, but but yeah, it was that, and then I actually shaved my head. So I completely had shaved all my hair off. So, someone said I looked like Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. So that was kind of a funny comparison. And I think that it actually was the inspiration, oddly enough, for the look. I think that I was watching, I think it was El Camino at the time. I think I saw that, and I was just kind of inspired by that rough look. So, um, so I think that was definitely an inspiration for the visual look of that character. Um, but then all the mental stuff, that's when it got kind of crazy because obviously with losing the weight and doing it in a very unprofessional and without a nutritionist and all that sort of shit got a little crazy. Um, so I, you know, one of the things that I started to do was to not really turn off the mindset of the character. So, a lot of times when I was interacting with people, I would have a very off-putted type of attitude, and um, like it's ultimately like you're just kind of pushing yourself to that edge, and you're just letting yourself fall into this sort of thing, and then eventually you just stop realizing that that's you. Like you're just letting this attitude take shape, and that's just like you're kind of psyching yourself. um I don't know how to describe it, but it's like at the beginning I was just kind of forcing myself to be that person, and then eventually that forcefulness became much easier, and then it just became the attitude of my daily life. So um and the way I equated it to my friend was that it was almost having like conversations, like a therapy session with that character mentally. So there'd be times where I would just sit down with the character, and I would just interact with it, just see um, what's going on with that person, and asking questions mentally, like how would they do this, how would they do that, um, so. And eventually I just became really, really distant. Um, I was I was mentally pretty fucked up when doing that, because I was also struggling with other things at the time. But so that you know with that, and also having to lose your fucking sanity and stuff like that, it was the recipe for some great descent. So that was basically what was happening there. Was I just fell pretty hard into this like kind of madness sort of thing. And I remember the day that it actually came to a head, because while we were filming it, I was okay. I wasn't like um, completely loon. I mean, maybe my crew will say differently. But from my recollection, I don't remember being like completely alone. There was two things. I will embarrass myself on camera. There was two things that happened that definitely called for questions in terms of where I was mentally. Um, there was a day where we had to film at like a hilltop, and it like rained, and I wanted it to be dry for the shot. So we decided to go to the other side of the mountain, and while we were traveling to the other side of the mountain, keep in mind, anytime that I was filming, I would never eat. So the days that we would be filming, I would never eat anything. I would have water, but I would not have anything. So it was basically fasting. Um, so like when I'm not filming, I would eat, but still in that same capacity of like eating like half of whatever. Um, but when I'm on set, when I'm actually filming, I didn't eat anything. I would just wouldn't eat anything, you know. And it oddly enough became like a half spiritual, half like like crazed type feeling, more or less. Probably it's just insanity, like trying to again compensate for the whole experience. Um, but yeah, so we went to the other side of the mountain. We were traveling, and upon like halfway through, there was like this little spot that I was curious to get a shot of. There was a puddle of water right in front of me, and I have no idea what caused it. Again, I was really just gone. I, and I was being dead serious to my crew. I told them, hey, what if we did a shot where I just consumed this water on camera to show, and I was actually giving, in context for the film, it actually would make a lot of sense, but in the reality of what we're about to do, it's pretty fucking stupid. And my friend was, I have one friend, Michael, who, if Michael's watching this, what's up, man? Um, he actually talked me out of it, while my other friend, Matthew, who I'm not sure if he subscribed to this channel, but Matthew, if you are, what's up, man? Um, he was just backing away, like, just like, okay, yeah, not sure what's up with you. He was just like, you know, um, but, but Michael ultimately talked me out of it. And, if he had told me yes, like, let's do it, I probably would have ended up in the hospital, because I was willing to do it. And looking back on it, that would have been a pretty bad idea. Um, but then the second thing, um, again, I'll out myself again, for some embarrassment. But this moment was also really the moment where I realized how how going too far, with this sort of thing. Um, it was I think the second to last day of shooting, and we were doing like this big dinner sequence, and the way that we filmed it. In the movie, it's different. We cut it up, but in actual filming, I actually wanted to do the whole thing in one shot. So we rehearsed it a couple of times, um, and at this point, mind you, because the character has two different physiques, so we shot all the skinny portions in 2019, um, and then 2020 happened and we couldn't do anything, so we had to be very careful. And within that period of time and staying at home, I was then gaining my weight back, um, and turning that weight into muscle. So I put on at least like 10 pounds of muscle by the time that we had returned to filming. So I had physically had been looked a little bit different, not like extremely different, but like a little bit different. Um, and again, was still in the whole mindset of this particular person. Um, and by the time we got to this dinner sequence, um, I think, well, firstly it was like going on midnight because I was very hell bent on getting this shot correct. Because it's a oneer, so you want to make sure that everything is correct. Um, and the crew was exhausted, and they were just kind of done with it. Because I was being a bit of a perfectionist back then, and dealing with OCD, I was also very obsessive, so I was very doubtful minded. Um, so, so we got the shot. About the fourth time we got something, and then I said to myself, okay, I want to do it like one or two more times, and because I just felt like I was becoming more distant to the character. So I then decided to kind of really connect to that character much more deeply at that particular moment. And then I started to dance. I know, sounds a little weird, but I'm telling you, this is where I was. This is where how weird things got. So I started dancing because I put on my headphones, and then I kind of went off to a corner and I started dancing. Um, my friends equated it to the Joker dance, which, yeah, it was pretty much like that. So, um, so I was doing some dancing and all that sort of stuff to really calm myself down and to really get into that mindset. Then we did the scene, and the scene, I think it was really the last take. I think it actually was the last take. Was the best one. So then my crew went home, and the entire night I couldn't turn it off because before there was a period where I can like kind of detach a little bit. Obviously, I still had a grip to that persona, but I was able to like give myself a little bit of a distance from it. That night, it was like this. I just could not turn it off. I was just talking and seeing things in that particular way, and I was like calling up someone that I just called up someone and I was just like, telling them like I don't know what's going on. It got really scary that night because I just didn't know, like I knew who I was, but it was just like it was like it really felt like being possessed, like I just didn't know how to turn that off. So, um, again, it was all a psychological thing that was going on. So, last day of shooting happens, which I didn't have to do anything, thankfully. So I was able to just, I guess, go through like a detox period. I don't know what you would call it, but just like, just really deal with myself. I thanked my crew. We all had our goodbyes and all that sort of stuff. And then once they had left, I broke down. I, just had a, I guess you would say, a mental break, but ultimately a freedom from the character. So, um, so from that mental break, I was free from that character. So, and free from that psychological web that I had conjured up for so long. By that point, it was like about, I think, a year. Um, so my dad came in and he was just like, "You probably shouldn't be doing acting anymore." And I was like, at that point, I said, maybe I'll just do it at my own pace, whatever, like that. And ever since then, I have yet to act because I just don't want to ever get wrapped up in a mindset like that ever again. So, um, literally, I think it was about 2 weeks. I want to say 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks of after the last day of shooting. It was uh, a lot of healing that needed to happen. Obviously, like months, like I would say, like a month or two of literally just having to distance, really pull myself together. But those first 2 weeks were definitely notable because I remember being depressed. I remember, just being very, very, I was going through some kind of mania because of the role, but also other things. And I was able to get a grip, thankfully. I think about a month later or so. Um, and the thing that I learned through all of that is to never do anything like that ever again, and to probably have not done that in the first place. Um, Obviously, it was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna deny that I had fun. I did have fun, but I'm not stupid. What I did was very, very scary, and it was also um, it's something that people should not do. You should be a lot more considerate of yourself, and protect yourself, and just understand that it's acting. Just read the lines. Don't go too crazy about, the role and stuff like that. And if you want to do the whole weight gain, weight loss stuff like that, consult with a nutritionist. Talk to someone who understands this sort of thing. Don't do what I did, where I just did it. You know what I mean? I was able to lose the weight, but the cost of doing that mentally and all that sort of stuff, that's something that I want to stress to you guys. Really consult with someone who knows what to do. Like I'm doing right now with my calorie defect. I could have just done it on my own, but you know, that wouldn't have worked out. So that's why I have a nutritionist now that's helping me out. Um, so, so yeah, it was a very weird experience. I'm pretty sure that I freaked out some of my friends. So um, I informed them every day about what was about to happen. So it's not like that they were not previewed to what was going on. They knew what I was doing, and um, I was a different dude back then. So I was more willing. Now I have more stability, and I definitely can tell you that that shit was just, yeah, that was that was definitely crazy. I couldn't get a job for like months because of how I looked. I remember I went to Lowe's to apply for a job, and they were just like, they allowed me to do the interview, but just seeing how that person was looking at me, he was just like this. He was just like, you know, um, so yeah, so don't do it, guys. Really don't. I mean, it was stupid of me to do it. I mean, it was a very informative experience, but I shouldn't have had to have done what I did. There's other ways that could have been that I could have done it. I could have consulted with a nutritionist. I could have done this and that. So, because mentally it definitely was damaging, and I had to really focus on myself after that. Because then I put out the film, and since then I haven't done a film. Not just because of that experience, but also just for other reasons. Um, but um, but yeah, yeah, that was a crazy, 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 crazy experience. Um, so yeah, so please don't do this kind of acting. I'm not sure if I did even method acting. I don't even know, but it certainly felt extreme. So, um, but but yeah, I mean, and also I'm a terrible actor, so so that's why I did all that stuff, because if I just do what I do, you know I don't feel like I'm putting in my best effort. So I feel that if this was what I was thinking back then. I felt that if I suffered enough, then I would be able to present my best work, And obviously nowadays I would say, fuck that. I'm not going to go through all that. Just hand me a paper and I will read them to the best of my ability. So, um, you know, so but yeah, so that was that was definitely an experience. So, but yeah. Uh So, and just so you guys understand, I am in a much better place than I was like a couple of years ago. So yeah, and I've left that part of my life behind. I'm not pursuing acting anymore or stuff like that. I mean, I have acted since then, but it was like, in lighter capacities, and I'm just literally reading lines. So, um, I don't do anything that severe anymore, because that's just crazy. So 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 that's my story of my experience with that. I would link the film, but I don't know if I want to do that because I just don't want this to become a like, oh, go see my movie. I don't want to do that sort of thing. I'm just here to tell stories. But if you guys are curious, maybe I'll link it. I don't know. You guys let me know if you guys want to link or whatever. Um, but that's my story. And to anyone who's ever dabbled in this sort of thing, like I know theater teachers, they do not like to talk about this stuff. They'll talk about Stolansky and other things, but they'll never really press on the method acting portions. I remember in my theater class, that person that I had spoken to, he had like just no, we're not talking about method acting. He talked about it one time, and it was like for like maybe 10 minutes, and then he just like went back to other stuff. Because well, now going through my experience, yeah, it's very scary, and it can do a lot of damage. So I get why people with theater teachers are hesitant to talk about that sort of thing. So it's for your own good, it's for your own protection. So, but to anybody who has dabbled in this sort of thing, um, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What you guys think of, or just if you guys have had experiences with this sort of thing. And your thoughts, obviously, on method acting. What do you guys think? Like I said, I'm not sure if I did that sort of thing, if it was method acting, but it was definitely a crazy experience. So, definitely lost my shit during that film. So, um, but you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And thank you guys for watching. And like I said, I'm still on my calorie defect, so excuse the hint of or the whiff of irritation that's probably in the next upcoming videos. I'm just trying to keep myself in control because it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge, but at least I have a nutritionist on my side versus doing this shit myself. So but it's all for good things too. I need to lose some weight. I got some belly fat going. So no more McDonald's, no more In-N-Out. It's all carrots and strawberries and all that sort of shit in this house. So, but that's gonna be it for me, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.